Hi, I'm Carlise Burke, and welcome to An Actor's Library. I am so excited to be reviewing this book today because it is near and dear to my heart, and it is a part of my legacy that I didn't even know about until 6 years ago. The book is called The Tuskegee Airmen Mutiny at Freeman Field. Now, some of you may know my backstory. I was adopted when I was, I think, around 1 year old, and I was raised by two fabulous parents. And about 6 years ago, I was put in contact with my birth mother. At the time, she was 95 years old. With my birth mother came a brother and two first cousins and a wonderful auntie, who I have been cultivating a relationship over the past 6 years, and I admire them greatly, and I appreciate them welcoming me into the family. So I'm on Facebook one day, and I see my cousin, Leonard Williams Jr., posting about a book that his father was in, and his father would be Leonard Williams Sr., who would be my uncle, my birth mother's brother. He is mentioned in this book. Why? Because he was a Tuskegee Airman, a bombardier in World War II. He was also an officer, obviously, well, not obviously, but a Black officer. And one day in 1945, he and 18 other Black officers entered the White Officers Club. Now, I don't know if there were Black officers clubs or not. Maybe they didn't even have a club for Black officers, and supposedly segregation was illegal at that time in what they called the U.S. Army Air Forces. The U.S. Army Air Forces. That was the name of the military contingency. And my uncle was a part of the 477th Bombardment Group. Okay, so you have white officers and Black officers and everybody else under them fighting in a war. This is an active war, and they are dealing with racial incidences of segregation. They go into the officers club. My uncle and 18 other officers go in, and there's no violence. They don't start anything. They don't confront anybody. Someone goes over to the phone. Maybe someone else goes over to a pool table. One officer went over to the bar where there was a Black bartender who literally froze. Did not know what to do. Was not used to seeing this. And now he doesn't want to lose his job. He knows that there's some tension in the room. White officers come over and ask the Black officers to leave, and they refuse. And they ask why. And they're like, well, we can't tell you why, but you just can't be in here. Well, we all know why. So, consequently, they are arrested and put on house arrest for 20 days. They have to stay in their barracks. I think that's the right word. They are confined to their barracks, and now these officers and everyone is scrambling around in the middle of a war trying to figure out how to handle this situation. But the first 19 that went into the officers club, they thought that was it, but they had a plan. While the first 19 were being confined on house arrest, the next day, several more officers went in, and the same thing happened again. And so now they realize they have a problem because they sort of were going in groups of 10, 15, 19 at a time, until we now have 162 Black officers, I believe they were all officers, arrested for this quote unquote mutiny at Freeman Field. So read the book, find out what happened, how they dealt with it, how it affected their lives, how it ended, how they were further discriminated against. It is a fascinating story. I just want to share right here, if you can see it. That's my uncle. I highlighted it, Leonard E. Williams, 2nd Lieutenant. And I just feel so honored. And the man who wrote the book was also one of the first 19 to go into the Officers Club. And this was Lieutenant Colonel James C. Warren. It just gives me such pride to know that someone of my legacy, my heritage, who shares the same DNA, had the courage to stand up against inequality. It gives me courage to do the same thing. And here we are in 2021. Anyone who's watching this, I don't know what year you will see it, but if you were around in 2020, which was just a few weeks ago, you will know that not only have we been dealing with a deadly virus and a very unsettling administration in the White House that has seemed to encourage more racial tension in this country than I feel that I have ever witnessed. And so what has changed? And where are we going? And what are we doing? And how do we fix it? This book gives me the spirit and the encouragement to fight for what's right. So this incident happened in 1945. President Truman designated segregation illegal in 1948. But it wasn't until 1995 that this mark was erased from these officers' permanent military record. I find that a bit disgraceful. And so here we are now in 2021, not dealing with exactly the same thing, or are we? In a different way, different faces, different methods. But I am so proud of my uncle. I'm so proud to be a part of this family. I hope to uphold this legacy with courage and strength. And I encourage you to read this book. It's really a fascinating read.